God, there are things within me that I don't always recognize. Thoughts, intentions, attitudes that stay hidden even when I believe I'm doing the right thing. And today I don't want to keep moving forward without understanding what is truly inside my heart. Your word says in Psalm 139:23, "Search me, O God, and know my heart." And that is exactly what I need right now. Not something external, not just direction, but clarity within. Because I don't want to keep walking without seeing what you already see in me. So if you feel like something inside of you is not fully aligned, even if you can't explain it, stay here for a moment and pray this with me. God, as I come before you in this moment, I choose to come honestly, without trying to present myself as someone who has everything in order, without trying to hide what I may not fully understand about myself, because I know that nothing within me is hidden from you, and there is no reason to pretend when you already see every part of who I am. There are areas in my life that I have not fully examined, thoughts that I have allowed to settle without questioning them, reactions that I have justified, and intentions that I have assumed were right simply because they felt right to me. But I understand now that what feels right is not always aligned with what is true, and that is why I need you to search me in a way that goes beyond my own awareness. Your word in Psalm 139:23-24 says, "Search me, O God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. See if there is any offensive way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting." And I bring that before you not as something distant, but as something personal, something that I need in this moment. Because I don't want to continue forward carrying things within me that are not aligned with you. There have been moments where I have assumed that I was fine simply because nothing obvious was wrong. But I understand now that alignment is not only about what is visible, it is about what is internal, what is forming my decisions, what is shaping my responses, and what is guiding the direction of my life even when I'm not fully aware of it. I recognize that there are thoughts I have entertained that may not reflect your truth, patterns that I have allowed to continue because they are familiar, and attitudes that I have justified because they seem reasonable from my perspective. But I do not want to measure myself by my own understanding. I want to be aligned with you, even in the areas that are not immediately visible to me. Your word in Jeremiah 17:9 says that the heart is deceitful above all things and beyond cure, and that no one can understand it fully. And I take that seriously, because it reminds me that I cannot rely only on what I feel or what I think is right. I need you to reveal what I cannot see, to expose what I may have overlooked, and to bring clarity to what I have misunderstood. There is a part of me that wants to believe that everything within me is already aligned, that there is nothing that needs to be corrected. But I know that true growth does not come from avoiding what is uncomfortable. It comes from allowing you to show me the truth, even when it challenges me, even when it reveals things I did not expect, and even when it requires me to change. I also understand that this is not about condemnation. It is not about feeling guilty or overwhelmed by what may be revealed. It is about alignment, about becoming aware of what needs to be adjusted so that I can walk more clearly, more steadily, and more honestly with you. Your word in Hebrews 4:12 says that the word of God is alive and active, sharper than any double-edged sword, penetrating even to dividing soul and spirit, judging the thoughts and attitudes of the heart. And I invite that into my life right now, not as something distant, but as something active within me, something that can separate what is true from what is not, what is aligned from what is not, and what needs to remain from what needs to change. And as I remain here, I choose not to rush this process. I choose not to resist what you may show me, and I choose not to retreat into what is familiar, because I know that what you are doing in this moment is not surface level. It is something deeper, something that reaches into the foundation of who I am. And I trust that what you begin to reveal will also be what you begin to restore. There are things within me that I have carried for so long that I stopped questioning them, ways of thinking that feel normal, reactions that seem justified, and internal habits that I no longer notice because they have become part of how I move through life. And yet I realize that familiarity does not always mean alignment, and what I have accepted as natural may not reflect what is true. I have responded to situations based on instinct rather than truth. I have allowed certain thoughts to remain because they felt reasonable, and I have moved forward assuming that as long as nothing seemed obviously wrong, everything within me was in the right place. But I see now that what is unseen often carries more weight than what is visible, and what is internal shapes everything that follows. Your word in Proverbs 21:2 says that a person may think their own ways are right, but you examine the heart, and that confronts me in a way that is honest, because it reminds me that I am capable of believing I am aligned while still being guided by things that need correction. Not because I intend to be wrong, but because I do not always see clearly on my own. There are attitudes that have developed quietly, not in obvious ways, but gradually, shaped by moments, by disappointments, by interpretations I never revisited. And those things have influenced how I respond, how I think, and how I see others. And I understand now that if I never bring those areas before you, they continue to operate without being challenged, without being corrected, and without being realigned. I also recognize that not everything within me resists correction openly. Some things resist it silently by avoiding reflection, by staying busy, by shifting focus, by choosing comfort over honesty. And I see how easy it is to continue forward without ever pausing long enough to allow you to reveal what is beneath the surface. Your word in Psalm 51:6 says that you desire truth in the inward being, and that speaks directly to this moment. Because it is not about appearances, it is not about what others see, and it is not about maintaining an image of being right. It is about what is actually true within me, even in the places that are not immediately visible. There have been moments where I felt justified in how I responded, in what I thought, or in how I interpreted something. But I understand now that justification is not the same as alignment. And I do not want to rely on what feels right if it is not actually rooted in what is right. Because what feels right can still be influenced by things that need to be corrected. I also understand that correction is not rejection, it is direction. It is not something meant to push me away. It is something meant to bring me closer, to refine what is within me so that I am not divided internally, so that what I believe and what guides me are no longer in conflict. Your word in Psalm 119:105 says that your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path, and I understand that light is not only for direction ahead, it is also for revealing what is right in front of me, what is within me, what needs to be seen clearly so that I am not walking forward in partial understanding. So instead of assuming that everything within me is already in the right place, I choose to remain open, to allow you to reveal what needs to be revealed, and to trust that what you show me is not meant to overwhelm me, but to bring clarity, to bring alignment, and to guide me into a way of thinking and living that is more grounded, more stable, and more consistent with who you are. And as this becomes clearer, I begin to understand that this is not a one-time moment. It is a process, something that continues. Something that requires awareness, honesty, and a willingness to remain open, because alignment is not maintained by assumption. It is maintained by staying connected to you and allowing you to continue shaping what is within me. What I'm bringing to you now is not polished, it is not arranged to sound right. It is simply honest, because I understand that honesty is where real alignment begins. Not in what I say publicly, but in what I am willing to acknowledge before you without filtering it, without softening it, and without hiding behind what feels acceptable. And I choose to stand here without defense, allowing truth to reach the places I have not been able to reach on my own. Your word in Psalm 139:23-24 asks you to search and to know, to test and to lead. And I hold on to that as something living, not as something distant. Because I am not asking for a surface change, I am asking for a deep realignment, something that adjusts what is forming inside of me, something that touches the motives I don't always see, the reactions I don't always question, and the quiet inclinations that shape how I move without my full awareness. There are areas where I have been selective, where I allowed certain things to remain because they did not seem urgent, because they did not create immediate consequences, and because they blended into what felt normal. But I understand now that what is tolerated internally eventually defines direction externally, and I don't want to continue moving with unseen misalignment shaping what I do. Your word in Psalm 19:12-13 speaks about hidden faults and asks to be kept from them, and that reaches into this moment, because there are things I would not identify without your help, patterns that stay below the surface, influences that shape decisions quietly, and I choose to bring all of that before you, not partially, not conditionally, but completely, trusting that what you reveal is necessary for where I am going. There have been times where I reacted quickly and called it conviction, where I held onto thoughts and called them clarity, where I defended positions and called them strength. But I recognize now that without being examined, I can confuse what feels strong with what is actually rooted in truth. And I don't want to build my life on something that has not been refined by you. Your word in Proverbs 4:23 says to guard the heart because everything flows from it. And I begin to understand that guarding is not avoiding examination. It is allowing the right authority to define what remains and what does not. It is giving you access so that what flows from me is not shaped by habit, assumption, or reaction, but by something that has been corrected and aligned. I am not asking you to remove only what is obvious. I am asking you to address what is subtle, what is layered, what has been reinforced over time. Because I understand that transformation is not found in surface adjustments. It is found in what is reshaped at the level where thoughts begin, where intentions form, and where direction is set before anything becomes visible. Your word in Ephesians 4:22-24 speaks about putting off the old self and being renewed in the spirit of the mind. And I receive that as an ongoing work, not something instant, not something forced, but something that happens as I remain open, as I remain attentive, and as I continue to bring what is within me into the light of your truth. There is a willingness in me now that was not there before, not because everything is clear, but because I no longer want to move forward with hidden misalignment. I no longer want to rely on what feels right without being examined. And I no longer want to ignore what you are bringing to the surface simply because it is uncomfortable to face. Your word in John 8:32 says that the truth will set me free, and I understand that freedom is not found in avoiding truth. It is found in receiving it fully, even when it challenges me, even when it reshapes how I see things, and even when it requires me to change what I have grown used to. Because what you establish brings stability, clarity, and a direction that is not easily shaken. As I move forward from this moment, I carry a different awareness, not heavy, not overwhelming, but steady, because I am no longer depending on my own perception to define what is right within me. I am allowing you to guide that, to refine it, and to continue shaping what I could not shape on my own. And even as this continues beyond this moment, I remain open to what you will continue to reveal, not resisting it, not delaying it, and not minimizing it, because I trust that what you are doing is not to unsettle me, but to align me, to strengthen what is true, and to establish something within me that remains consistent, grounded, and fully directed by you. From this point forward, I don't want to return to moving the same way I was before, not because everything around me has changed, but because something within me has been brought into the light. And I understand that once something is seen clearly, I cannot continue treating it the same way, I cannot ignore it, and I cannot go back to the same patterns as if nothing was revealed. Your word in James 1:23-25 speaks about the one who looks into the mirror and then forgets what they saw. And I don't want to be that person. I don't want to receive clarity in this moment and then move forward as if nothing happened. I want what has been revealed to remain present, to shape how I think, how I respond, and how I move through what comes next. There are things that I will now approach differently, not out of pressure, not out of fear, but out of awareness, because I understand that alignment is not maintained automatically. It is maintained intentionally. It requires attention. It requires honesty, and it requires a willingness to continue walking in what has been shown, even when it would be easier to return to what is familiar. Your word in Galatians 5:25 says that if we live by the Spirit, we should also walk by the Spirit. And I take that seriously because it reminds me that what happens in this moment is not meant to stay here. It is meant to continue. It is meant to carry into my decisions, my thoughts, and my responses, so that what is within me remains consistent with what you are shaping. I also understand that this is not about perfection. It is not about getting everything right immediately. And it is not about trying to control every thought or reaction. It is about staying aware, about returning quickly when I drift, and about not allowing what has been revealed to be forgotten or minimized over time. There will be moments where I feel the pull to go back into old patterns, to respond in ways that are familiar, or to ignore what I now recognize, but I choose not to follow that. I choose to remain steady, not because I am forcing myself, but because I understand what is at stake, and I value alignment more than comfort. Your word in Psalm 119:133 says, "Direct my footsteps according to your word. Let no sin rule over me." And I receive that as guidance moving forward, not only for what I do externally, but for how I remain internally, so that what leads me is not impulse, not assumption, but truth that has been made clear. As I continue through this day, I carry a steadiness not based on how I feel, but on what has been established. I am not moving blindly or without direction, because what you have revealed is meant to remain and guide me consistently. I trust that alignment produces stability over time, and what is corrected internally will shape what is visible externally, leading me into a way of living that is more consistent, clear, and anchored in truth. And as I move forward, I do so with a settled heart, a clear awareness, and a willingness to continue walking in what you have revealed, trusting that you will keep guiding, correcting, and establishing what is true within me in every step that I take. Amen.